Hello, hello, Gutsy women. Welcome to this wonderful evening in the UK. I don't know where everybody else is in the world, but I hope everyone else is having a wonderful, wonderful day. And today I've got the very lovely Rhonda Peoples here to have a chat with. She is an amazing woman. She's had her own journey of self-discovery. She's passionate about helping women have their voices and reaching their full potential. And she's also the co-founder of the Empowering Women's Alliance. So Rhonda, welcome today. Can you tell people who you are and where you are at the moment?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, first of all, I just want to say how honored I am, Dee, that you reached out to me to have this conversation. It's only from another gutsy woman that will reach out to a gutsy woman to have a conversation. And I just think it's awesome. So I'm so honored to be here. So thank you. So my name is Rhonda Peoples. I am one of the co-founders of Empowering Women Alliance. And I am currently in Monk's Corner, which is just outside Charleston, South Carolina. Only been here for a couple of years, came from Arizona, lived in Arizona for about 30 years.
So I don't know very much about the US. I've heard the names of places, and I've got a few friends who live over there. But it's just such a vast country. You could be it could probably take you a week to get across your country. So I've got no real idea about all the different time zones as well. But
Yes.
it's a country that I would love to actually visit at some point. But that's a story for another day, Rhonda. So can you tell people what is it that brought you to doing what you do, helping women to find their voice? What is it about that you're passionate about?
Well, that's actually my story. I was in a self personal development course several years ago, and one of the things that we had to do was to figure out a project that was bigger than ourselves. That it required us to build a team and something that we didn't know how to do. And I was at a loss. I had no idea what I was going to do. My current coach at the time kind of knew my story a little bit. And she said, Rhonda, you need to write a book. And I'm like, get the heck out of here. Like, I barely know how to use the English language, let alone write a book. Bottom line is, I ended up creating a group of women that came together and wrote our very first book, Empowering Women with Words, Life-Changing Conversations. You can find it on Amazon. And it was through that process that we were like, you know what? I think we've got something here, right? One of the ladies in the group said, man, we have so many women in this group that have gone through personal development, and this process that we went through that took us almost 2 years was transformational for us to really find our voices and then find our story and then be able to unshackle what that story had on us and be able to tell that story from an author's point of view in such a way that it empowered another woman out there in the world that can relate to something that she's speaking of in her chapter.
Wow.
So we created Empowering Women Alliance. And so we've been going strong for 5 years. We have our second book at the publishers right now. It should be released. And most importantly, we had one of the gals, one of the authors from our first book, just reach out to us last week. And she has written a book and she wants us to publish the book with her. I am blown away. The book is out of this world, like unbelievable share of her story. But what it really does is it really circled back around to really let me know that we have impacted women and that we have a woman that struggled with her story and struggled with where she was at and just the whole conversation that is now writing her own book. And so for us to be able to create this space for her to find, rediscover her voice and then go out and share more of her story with the world is it just an absolute blessing. So we couldn't be more excited.
I can understand. I can see and hear and feel the passion in and the joy of all of that in your voice when you're talking about it. And it is about something, that nugget that releases, that kind of turns the tap on, isn't it? In a way, it's kind of, I've been stuck with this for so long. My life has been impacted by this struggle, and yet here I am now, being able to write about it and voice the things
Right.
that I need to say.
Right.
What is it? What do you think it takes for somebody to get to that point?
You know what? With me, I had been in the automotive industry for 22 years. So I was very much in a man's world. And, I grew up there. I was in my 20s when I started in the industry. And I grew up there and I was always struggling with myself. There was always a struggle, like I wasn't good enough, I couldn't do enough. So it was a complete, opportunity for me to continue to try to prove myself and prove myself and prove myself inside that industry. And I got to a point to where I had all the stuff. I had a custom home. I was making well over six figures. I was driving a Lexus. I had the purses and I had the heels and I mean, just my daughter was in private school. So I had the life from the outside. People would look at me and go, "Oh, how awesome!" And inside, I was saying, I'm struggling. Like I'm screaming for help. I was unfulfilled totally in where I was at in my life. And so I really started looking around like, you know, what's going on? What's going on? Like my Mother Teresa is like my person, right? And I had such drama and trauma with people around me. There was always something going on in my head. And so I got involved in personal development and started to realize that I had been living in a world filled with lies. I had been living in a world that I had set up so many boundaries by the lies that I told myself that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And, when I passed out on stage in front of my entire school when I was in eighth grade, right? I told myself, well, don't do that again. You can't speak to large groups of people. And and continue to continue how I wasn't worthy and my mother didn't love me. And so I lived in this little box, and as I was traveling through life, I would go here and go, no, don't go there because you can't do that. And oh, don't go there because you can't do that, because I had created so many lies. And so when I started sharing, when I started speaking, I started to realize when people would come back to me and go, well, Rhonda, what if it had nothing to do with you not being able to speak in front of groups of people? What if you were just sick that day? What if you had locked your knees and because you forgot to eat that morning because you were so excited about getting on stage that you just passed out and it had nothing to do? But that's what we do. We tell ourselves such negative conversation in our heads, and then we believe it and start living our lives like it's true. And so I needed help. I knew I was in my own way. I couldn't figure it out. And so I jumped into some courses that really unveiled the world that I had created in my mind as this way was not that way at all. There was this vast availability of opportunity and possibility that I was not engaged with. And so that really started taking me down the path of discovery, self-discovery, of who I was. And when I started loving myself, like the world changed, G. Like, I don't know, like all the mean people and all the stories I had about the judgments about people, it all just it just fell away. Like the world literally changed. I didn't know where those people went anymore. It was just wonderful because I thought, if I am hiding behind all of my stories, and I witnessed hundreds of people through these courses doing the same thing. Who am I to judge or have stories created about other people because they are dealing with their own lies the way that they deal with them?
Right.
It's just incredible. The very first chapter of the book, which is my chapter, I have the first and I have the last, and it's like, wouldn't it be nice if everybody had like their page? Like you would meet them. I would meet you and say, "Hi, Dee, so nice to meet you." And then this page would flip down like right in front of you, and it would give me a synopsis of how you look at the world, why you look at the world that way, like just a quick synopsis, which would open up my heart to you and take in whoever you were because I understood what you had been through.
Mm.
If we could do that in the world, like the world would change instantaneously.
It would, wouldn't it? It would. It would completely transform. And those angry people were reflections of yourself and ourselves
Yes.
completely. And that's why they disappeared, because they weren't reflecting who you were then after you changed.
It is like right on the spot.
It's that magic that seems to happen,
It
when we start loving ourselves. We don't see angry people anymore because we're not angry with us. We're reflecting that out, and then everything's a frequency. So we just get a matching frequency coming back to us. And then when you change you,
Mhm.
you get a matching frequency coming back to you, and it's a completely different frequency.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
wonderful. Yeah,
It's
it's a
beautiful.
wonderful way of doing it. And the amount of freedom I imagine you felt after that was huge.
Well, I can speak to people. I no longer memorize things. I no longer get twisted about having conversations because I literally am able to tap into my heart now and really
Mm,
just speak my truth from my heart. And, with all the love and joy and sincerity and transparency and, all of that, I'm not even thinking about it. It's
mhm,
it's it's wonderful freedom.
mhm. And so when you noticed that change, what direction did it actually take you in after that then, to around helping other women?
Well, in the automotive industry, I had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And when I was in the hospital, going through surgery, and I had I was home in recovery. I was in recovery. I'd only stayed home for 3 weeks before I went back to work. And so I was in recovery, and I attended a woman's event. And I don't know why. Number one, I had learned how to do transcendental meditation. And so I was really kind of being able to get within, right? Go
Mhm,
within. And I had something come over me that I wanted to attend this woman's event. It's called an e-women event. And there was this speaker there. And so I thought, I really want to go. I really want to go listen to her. And so I go to the event. I actually end up sitting at the table with the speaker. Diane Easley is her name. And she wrote this book. And I got the book and I got the workbook, and I had to have my husband drop me off. I couldn't even drive at the time, right? And I could barely walk. But I was called to be in that meeting. And I went home and I immediately went through that book. And what started happening as the pages were turning, I could feel the pages turning in my life. Like, it's time. Something's going on. You know, the realization that nobody sent me flowers from work. I've been there for 22 years. I didn't get a card. I didn't get a flower. I didn't get a phone call, nothing, right? And so I'm like, okay, things, I can feel it. Things are changing. So I go back to work. My second day back of half days, they call me to HR. They called me up 2 flights of stairs after a full-blown hysterectomy to go up and to speak to somebody who was about to let me go from my position after 22 years. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't want me here, I don't want to be here. And so I left. And then that started the journey that I got into networking. I had never heard about networking. I had never gone to networking groups. So I'm going to these groups afterwards because I had created my own coaching business. And so I'm attending these groups, and these people are standing up, mostly the ladies. The ladies are standing up, they're looking down. You can't hear them speaking, right? They're not confident, and they're talking about their own business. And so I'm sitting in the background going, okay, well, she's going to be out of business in 6 months. Oh, that one's going to be gone in a year, right? I was just vicious, 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 vicious about what was happening. And then I don't know, a couple months later, it really struck me like, you know what? You can make a difference for these women. You could make a difference in them sharing their stories, sharing their voices, finding their voices, having the confidence of being proud of what they're doing and what they're up to in the world. You could make that difference. And so that's when I started coaching women in sales, actually, and really working with them so that they could find their voices. And it wasn't about the speaking, it was the conversation that's in the head about the speaking. So that's when I started. You know, I had been in the male world for so long. And when I started really loving myself, it really brought in the feminine. And when it brought in the feminine, it brought in the love for my sisters, the love for who women are in the world and the difference that we do make, that there are seats at the table. There needs to be seats at the table because the world is out of balance if our voices are not heard.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And
Yeah.
but women's voices have been shut down for far too long in various different ways, not only in business, but in many other ways in society and all of that as well. So it's really important that women get a chance to speak and have their voices heard and their stories heard and the healing that happens from that,
Right.
because we are the nurturers, we are the carers,
Here.
and we're the
Yes.
caretakers, not just of our families and our children and our grandchildren, but obviously of the earth as well, because we're the ones that, you know, grew the food and, you know, prepared
Well,
it
we
and fed our
birth.
families.
We give
We birth everything.
birth.
Yeah.
Yes, we
So
birth everything, but we birth humanity. So
yes,
we have the biggest impact in the world by us healing and being able to be confident in who we are and to bring out our natural love and attention that we have inside away from the drama and trauma and stories and lies and everything that we've been through. Once we can get past that, it's
yes,
just it's a complete miracle.
yeah, the world opens up,
Absolutely.
and our lives open up. And I just want to thank you, Rhonda, for your passion, your, you know, your power. You're a gutsy woman today. And, you
Thank
know,
you.
I just want to thank you for being here to empower the other women in the group, because they're all gutsy women too, even if they're just sitting back at the moment and just watching and observing, because there is a gutsy woman in every woman. And I
Every-
just want everyone to know that. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. Could you give us just a few words of wisdom to help the women in the group to get through the next days, weeks?
Let me tell
Would you
you,
say?
when women come together, magic is created. And for us to really take care of ourselves, it's time to create community. It's time to create teamwork. It's time to create teams. Get with your sisters, come together in safe groups and talk and share and heal. That's my words. Share, communicate.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Wonderful words to end this fantastic interview on. And I look forward to you being in the group and sharing more in the months to come as well. So thank you very much, Rhonda. Anyone listening to Rhonda today, please get in touch with her. She's got so much to offer in your own healing in a different way than other people are doing that in the group. So please get in touch with Rhonda. She'll answer your questions and she'll be able to comment underneath.
You can reach out to me at admin@empoweringwomenalliance.com, or you can reach out to me at Rhonda, R-H-O-N-D-A, Rhonda@rhondapeoples.com.
Wonderful. If you would like to put those in, I'll tag you where to put those into the group because this video will be taken down after 30 days and I don't want all that information to get lost. So I will tag you. Okay. Thanks very much, Rhonda. I will end the live stream and we'll just have a chat.